Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Rebecca, I'm 44 years old, and I'm somebody who used to suffer from multiple sclerosis, who no longer experiences any of the symptoms since starting the carnivore diet nearly 2 years ago. And today I wanted to talk about a very important topic, which is the topic of badassery, being a badass when you're on the carnivore diet. And the reason I want to talk about this topic is because my previous video was about my journey with chronic illness and the carnivore diet from the perspective of dating and relationships. And in that video, I opened up about sort of a more personal, emotional side of things and discussed how I was in a weakened state for a long time and then got myself into a bad relationship. But then by being on the carnivore diet, I found my strength again, and now I'm in a situation where I'm living my best life and I have my boundaries up and I'm just a bit more badass. So that got me thinking, what is it about the carnivore diet that makes us badass? To move from such a weakened, vulnerable state where I couldn't even get out of bed in the morning. And I mean both physically and emotionally, because now, for example, this morning, I got up early and I went to a yoga class in which I was going upside down into the lotus position with my legs in the air. And last week I was doing a headstand. Now I couldn't do that without help. I was going up against a pillar and I had like an aid where I could put my head into it and hold my body. And I had to trust the yoga instructor as she said, "Come on now, kick your legs up." I was like, "Are you mad? I can't do that." And she just waited for me to do it. And I thought, well, there's a pillar behind me. Here we go. And I kicked my legs up and I was in a headstand. I mean, it's emotional because I used to be in a wheelchair. I used to struggle so badly to get out of bed in the morning and to hold conversations and to just be in the world with other people and keep up and hold my strength and my character, and all of it was just so tough. And now I'm just living a full life. It's like you go into beast mode on the carnivore diet, and there's got to be science behind that. So I wanted to explore that today. And I've come up with a few possibilities as to why that might be. And I just wanted to take you through them. And there's a couple of different things which I think put you in this position when you are on the carnivore diet. The first one I would mention is that when you go carnivore, you basically go into recovery from the inflammatory things that you were exposing your body to previously. From my understanding of things, I struggled with multiple sclerosis, and I believe that at the root of my multiple sclerosis was inflammation. And I believe that there can be multiple sources of inflammation, not only diet, but a huge part of that is diet. And we're not really aware of that in today's world because it's the standard fare that we're presented with, and we don't think twice about it, and we're all addicted to these sugary high carb foods. So when you cut those out, when you cut out processed foods, seed oils, refined carbs, sugary foods, that chronic inflammation reduces, which previously might lead to joint pain or bloating or fatigue. Not only your body, but your brain feels more focused, more powerful and disciplined. It's the presence of fat in your brain instead of those things, which is a much more sustainable source of energy, and it's much more evened out. Your insulin highs and lows, as far as I understand it, that instead of inflammation, you've got a much more sustainable energy source that is very healthy for your body and your brain. Actually, plants can also cause inflammation because they contain anti-nutrients like oxalates, and the other one that I came across is lectins. Oxalates and lectins, I'm sure you guys know more about this stuff than I do. I'm just researching it on a very basic level. But that they can cause gut inflammation as well, and the gut is extremely important. I mean, there's some research that says that some autoimmune diseases can be caused by gut inflammation, and the gut and the brain are actually linked as far as I understand it. There's neurons in the gut. I mean, I'm a fish out of water talking about science and nutrition, but But it's really exciting to think that there's science behind the fact that you literally feel more badass. Because being badass is not just about being physically strong, it's about being mentally strong. And the anti-inflammatory element explains both of those things. Our emotions are dictated by our diet just as much as our physical strength. And if you're in a situation where you're constantly having highs and lows and you're addicted to sugar and carbs, you're a slave to that, and you're constantly going to be feeling sluggish and fatigued and bloated, and that's going to have a knock-on effect on your emotions. So I would say first and foremost, it's the anti-inflammatory, the elimination of the inflammatory triggers, and instead the consumption of the proper nutrition, which leaves you operating at peak performance. So the anti-inflammatory recovery and the mental clarity and focus that you get from this diet. So the next thing is carnivore is like the optimal diet for athletes. So there's two elements to it, because protein from meat contains all the amino acids required for muscle building, but also creatine. Listen, I am no nutritional science. I'm just delving into this as a total newbie, someone who's experienced this on a personal level and wants to understand the science behind it. So creatine, which red meat is naturally rich in, boosts strength, power output and endurance. So that enhances muscle mass and strength and recovery. So it kind of gives you the edge where you need it for physical and endurance-based sports. So the carnivore diet essentially supercharges muscle recovery and performance, and it doesn't have the downsides of carb-heavy diets, of the insulin crashes and the bloating and the sluggishness. But it's not just that, it's not just muscles, it's also hormones, because cholesterol is the building block of testosterone, and red meat, eggs and organ meat are all packed with zinc and saturated fat and vitamin D, which all directly boost testosterone. So testosterone's awesome, it's totally badass, everybody knows that. It's where you've got higher levels of aggression, but controlled aggression and motivation, and like a stronger drive to dominate in whatever you're doing. And who needs estrogen, if you're just going to be in floods of tears all the time? That's not badass. But testosterone is totally badass, so it helps to give you that dimension of things. So there's the anti-inflammatory element, there's the protein element, there's the fat element, and there's the testosterone element. I would also say that there's another element to it, which is mental toughness and discipline that comes from following a diet that's actually quite difficult sometimes to follow, especially when you're living in a world of abundance and variety, and you're resisting all of that. Because most people are addicted to sugar and processed foods, and those constant dopamine spikes literally erode away your willpower and weaken you. The junk food weakens your willpower. Eliminating sugar eliminates that instant gratification, and it kind of rewires your brain for better discipline. So you end up developing mental toughness instead of chasing after cravings. And part of that is also the intermittent fasting element, which I would highly recommend for anybody on the carnivore diet, which is actually fairly easy to do when you're on the diet, because you're not hungry. you're eating enough nutrition, sustainable nutrition, without the insulin spikes and crashes. So actually it's a comfortable level of discipline that you're exercising, and it's going to kind of put you into like a sharper, tougher mindset, like a kind of warrior mindset, that much more. There's a psychological element to it as well. I guess the final thing that I would say that's totally badass is that you've got this whole primal and ancestral vibes thing going on. There's nothing more than meat that taps into that primal warrior mindset. You're consuming the same food that our ancestors consumed millennia ago and thrived on, which gives a sense of toughness and resilience and connects you to your ancestral past in a way that eating a veggie burger doesn't. I know this is controversial and many people will disagree with me on this, but our digestive system is designed to efficiently process animal protein and fat over fibrous plant material. We don't actually have the ability to break down cellulose, which is the main fiber in plants, into usable energy. So there's a lot of stuff in plants it's not available to us. A lot of the nutrients in plants aren't available to us, but everything that we consume in meat is available to us, especially if we're consuming organ meat. We're getting all the vitamins and minerals that we need. And that's the primal and ancestral way of eating and how humans thrived for millennia. We're literally built for this diet. So yeah, there you go. That's my best attempt at the science behind the badassery of the carnivore diet. So in summary, the final verdict is, if you are on the carnivore diet, you are fueling your body like a warrior with muscle growth and recovery and high testosterone, and you are operating with predator-like focus because you have got fat, ketones, which is a superior brain fuel, and you're not only that, but you're eliminating weakness from sugar addiction, inflammation and low energy, and you're developing insane discipline from your lack of processed junk food, no cravings, just control. So basically, if you're going to be feeling and looking and performing at your absolute best, the carnivore diet is the way to go, and it's going to make you 100% badass. So see you in the next video. Bye.